And welcome to the 24th day of December. I'm excited. My name is Brooklyn, and I'm America's Chief Happiness Officer. That's right. I'm here to help you to find joy and happiness in your life. And today's episode, we're going to be specifically talking about how to do that, how to find more happiness in your life, what it is, how to tap into it, and just how to get super stoked and excited. Now, I'm looking at the camera here. And I got to tell you, one kind of fun thing is that I usually never wear makeup, guys. And it is, I don't know, what time is it right now, folks? It is 10:30 in the evening. So it's Christmas Eve. I just think it's the day before the day people give stuff to each other. And so I decided, I'm like, no, I'm going to keep on this plight because I want to help people tap into their greatest sense of joy and happiness in 2026. And so I'm doing this podcast, and this podcast is called The Science of Happiness. Why happiness is a skill. Happiness is a skill. And we're going to be talking about that. And the fact, not only is it a skill, you can train it. That's the fun part about the fact that happiness is a skill, that you can train in it. You don't have to, right, feel like you have to conjure it up in this negative way, or in this what people call today, toxic positivity. That's not what I'm talking about. Happiness is literally a skill, is a state of mind, but that you can train yourself. We're gonna be talking about this today. So I know I'm live now, but later people will watch this. You can fast forward if you want to, 2x, 3x, whatever it is, so you can listen to it faster. But if you have the time, hang out with me. Hang out with me and listen to this topic on happiness, because I think for many people, this is the topic that we need to hear. So I'm going to start a tradition that before we get started, I'm going to tap into right here, my big box of happiness. My big box of happiness. I found this box of happiness about a year ago, or maybe even 2 years ago now. Wow. At Marshall's. And I was walking around like people do, just getting stuff. And I saw this on the end cap, that little section right at the end of an aisle. And I saw it. It was $10. And I was like, oh, you know what? Nah. And I walked away. And my soul brought me back. No. Hold on. What are you talking about, girl? Go back and get that box of happiness. So I got my big box of happiness. So the little thing we're going to do here every time we do this, I'm going to just pull a card. I'm going to be a happy oracle reader. I'm going to pull a bunch of cards, and I'm going to shuffle them. And then when I'm done shuffling, whatever comes out, and it's the message that, the universe has for you. If you're watching this at any time of your life, you're watching this, you'll remember this is, so the intention of this card is that when I pull this card, I'm going to read it, and then we're going to maybe add a little fun to it too, as well, to bring some joy and happiness to your life. This is a skill. Again, when you think, hey, I'm not feeling that great today, and whatever. So let's just ask yourself, even better. Let's do this. Take a moment and just have a question in your mind that you want to, you want answers to. I'm literally just messing right now, but let's do it anyway. And this will be for you and me. And just have a question in your mind. And when I start shuffling, let's just see what happens. Let's knock on the door of these cards and see what happens. This is the most uncommon thing. I'm just improvising here, life, and let's see what happens. Okay. But this is now, because happiness is a choice. Okay. Happiness is a choice. All right. Let's see what the cards pull out, my friends. Let's see what the cards pull out for the situation of the life circumstance that you want to bring some happiness to. Let's see. This is great. Draw a picture of something you love. Draw a picture of something that you love. And then when you draw a picture of something that you love, that's your direction, write about it. Pull out your journal and write about that picture you drew. Why it means to you, what it means to you, why you drew it, the significance of that picture for you. How about that? That's our joyful activity for today. All right, so let's get into it as to the fact that I'm saying that, look, happiness is a skill. And happiness isn't something that you just happen to stumble upon, that you it just is created out of the ether. No. It's something that is practiced. And the reason why I speak on happiness and everywhere I go around the country and around the world speaking on this topic, it matters to me because oftentimes people think that they have to just push through life and everything around us is terrible, which oftentimes there's a lot of things that are happening around us that are not so great, which is even more why, or even more reason why we need to really attend to finding the spots of our day that could be happy and building that skill. And I'm going to talk about 4 ways to do that today. And that is because the reason why it matters is because there's this thing that we have in our brain called, or this disposition, I should say, called negativity bias. And negativity bias basically means that we tend to be more negative, but it's not because, the brain is trying to sabotage you, is trying to keep us safe. And so whenever you're dealing with any kind of challenge, you immediately go to the negative because it's a way to keep us safe. And the reason why that's happening is because oftentimes what's happening in and around us impacts our nervous system. And if your nervous system is impacted, meaning that you feel stress, worry, doubt, fear, you want to protect yourself because whatever you perceive that's happening outside of you, if you perceive it as a threat, you get nervous, you get worried, you get anxious, you get depressed. Immediately your brain does what it has to do to keep you safe. That's why it's important to practice happiness, because happiness is not about dismissing what's happening. That's not what it's about. It's about reframing what's happening so that you have more resources, mental resources to deal with whatever is going on in your life. Loss of a job, loss of a relationship, a change, especially with change. The moment change happens, the brain sees it as a threat and is like, oh, we go into this crazy making mode. But here's the good news. The good news is you don't have to subscribe to that. You don't have to be in that state. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm saying you don't have to be in it consistently. You don't have to stay in it. You can change it. You can change when you're feeling a sense of fear, doubt, worry, concern, all these other emotions that are really not as resourceful to help you to think clearly, to have more creativity is not helpful, right? Okay. So today I want to talk about the science of happiness and why it's important. Why it's important. And the fact that is not a personality trait, my friends. It's not a personality trait. It's not luck, okay? And it's, in fact, not reserved just for positive thinking people. And you know what? Oftentimes people say to me, oh my gosh, but sometimes positive people just get on my nerves. Excuse me. As I hydrate. And I understand that. And I'm not going to stop here for words from my sponsor. They're not sponsoring us yet. But sometimes people who tend to be super positive do get on other people's nerves because it seems as though they're pushing aside what's the reality of things. And that's not what we're talking about here. Okay. We're talking about the skill of reframing situations that are challenging in our favor. We're reframing a situation that may be happening that is of some consequence somehow in our favor. It's happening for our favor. So let's find out what's hidden and what's inside this mystery box of challenges. The interesting thing is that, and oftentimes, and some people don't like to hear this, but it's true, we created those challenges with our own thinking. So if we created those challenges with our own thinking, what do we got to do? We got to change the thinking so you can change the result. If you change the thinking, you change the result. I have this model that I call T-Bear. And that isn't, you know what? I should get my board over here so I can do it. I'll do it next time. But essentially what it comes down to is your thoughts are blended, are made up of your beliefs, your values, your worries, fears, and doubts. And when you have a particular consistent thought, you start to have a consistent belief. This belief will create an emotion, or maybe even a set of emotions. And those emotions will then immediately draw you and pull you towards action. Those actions will create a result. And then that result, based on that result, if you keep feeling the same way, guess what? You're going to keep doing the same thing, which means you keep believing the same thing, which means you keep thinking the same thing. And it becomes a circular, consistent thought. Well, this is great if the thinking is propelling you towards a brighter future. But if your thinking, feeling, believing, actions, and results are propelling you towards a future you don't want, but you have fear, doubt, and worry that's pushing you towards that thing that you don't want to do or don't want in your life, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to keep doing it again and again and again and again. And I say, hey, let's break that cycle. Let's break that chain. And the way to break the chain is by asking yourself key questions. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But asking yourself key questions to help you take the leap towards something different. Okay. So the science of happiness teaches us that there's a common belief, there's a common theme that happy people, they're just born that way. You know what? Some happy people are born that way. It may feel that way. Have you ever noticed when you meet kids who are happy, who have happy parents? Oh my gosh, they're bubbly, excitable. They have smiley faces. They're always smiling. They love life. And sometimes you meet these kids, other kids who are not as excitable or not as happy. In fact, they're kind of serious. And their parents tend to be serious too, huh? Isn't that something? Well, here's 3 things we should know is that 50%, this is scientifically proven. Research has been done on the science of happiness. 50% of our happiness is based on genetics. Genetics and temperament come from your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, your whole lineage. The science of positive psychology teaches us is that basically happiness comes from 3 places. 1, your genes. So mom, dad, thank you for those genes, right? Only 10% of our predisposition to happiness comes from our job, money, location, our status in the world. Only 10%. The other 40%, my friends, this is why I get so excited. It is up to us. You and I own 40% of our happiness. That whole lion's share, 40% of our happiness is based on our intentional actions. Intentional by your actions and your mindset. Stop. Somebody, hold on. My church, this is incredible. 40% is a lot of opportunity for us to change our world dynamically. You know, when I look at the state of the world and what people are going through and say job loss or just the challenges people are going through, I tell myself, if you think back 10, 15, 20 years, what technology was like, what life was like, what we didn't have that we have today, there's no way that you can't succeed at something once you set your mind to it. Once you set your attitude and your intention towards the thing that you want to accomplish, there's nothing can stop you. Come on. I'm a speaker. My business is people paying me to go on a stage and tell these things to, the thousands of people. That's awesome. But it's not going to happen every single day. I wish I was on stage. I promise you. I wish I was in a theater. I wish I was in an arena every day, or at least once a week, twice a week. Oh, that a dream. I love that. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I can speak every day. I can speak right here in front of a camera. I can do this every day. I can turn on my live and go live. Let's go. And in fact, I turn on my live to YouTube. I didn't expect anybody to be here. And if somebody is here, great. But this content will live on forever. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, somebody's going to stumble upon this video, and please comment if you do. Is going to say, man, I need to hear this today. So listen to me. Positive psychology has been around now for several decades, and it is the psychology, and Dr. Seligman was the one, considered to be the father of positive psychology, started to think about, because he was a therapist, he started to think about, wait a minute, we're always looking at what's wrong with people, How about we start studying what's right with people, what's possible for people? And when I stumbled upon positive psychology, I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Finally, something makes more sense to me. 40% of our happiness is based on our intentions, our literal intentional actions and our mindset. So, what are you going to do with your 40? What are you going to do with your 40%? You can do absolutely anything you want. It's up to you. It's up to you. Now, you can be influenced by genetics. Yes. Yes, you can be influenced by genetics. I know it because I experience it almost on a daily. I have to kind of pull back from what I knew growing up to be like, no. We got to finish this. Something that I noticed when I was growing up is that we'd start something and it was, if it was too hard, we give up. We give up too easily. And if you read the work of Carol Dweck in her book, her powerful book, Mindset, I recommend it to everybody and anybody, especially if you have kids, because she studied, Dr. Dweck studied kids in many different schools and noticed that kids that actually dedicated themselves to working at something, working hard at something, even if it was hard, but sticking to it, were much happier, more successful, more resourceful, more creative, more energetic, because they didn't give up. And then those kids who were having a challenge gave up so quickly. She said what she noticed, the kids that did not give up, you know what they said? When they were confronted with a difficult puzzle or a difficult situation or a difficult exam, and actually they wanted more. They want to be given, you should read the book, it's amazing. They want to be given more hard things so they can really test their skill. And they would say, if they were facing something they didn't know how to do, or a puzzle they didn't know how to do, they said, well, I don't know how to do it yet. And they used the word yet specifically. Oh, my friend, let's go. This is the thing that we got to do, my friends. This is the thing we have to do in our lives, is that we have to understand that we have an emotional stake in our life, and our emotional baseline was handed to us by our genetics. Almost half of the rest of it is up to us. 40% is up to us. And 10%, yes, it's my job, it's my situation. But guess who created my job, my situation, my current state? I did. And you know who fed that? The 40% that was my intentional action and mindset. That's why I get so excited about this topic, because I realize I have so much power and control over the outcomes of my life. And so do you. You have power and control over the outcome of your life. That is so much fun. That is so much fun, you guys. So I'm saying here that happiness is a skill. But why is happiness a skill and not a feeling? Joy is a feeling. You build the skill of happiness so that you can feel joy. Something that I noticed in my life that I feel absolute joy over is doing this right here. This right here, talking to the camera, making sure that I can take this message from me to other people in the world. That brings me joy. I get excited. About that. I get excited to learn something. I even get excited when I have problems, because I know this is my job, is to go figure out how to fix it. My job is to go figure out how to fix it. So let's go. And I get joy, but also that joy came from creating the habit of thinking that had me think, hey, problems are solvable. The brain loves to solve problems. So if that's the case, let's go solve for it. That gets me excited. That brings me some joy. And it's not made up. It's not manufactured. It's a habit. Now, does it happen every time? Am I feeling this sense of joy all the time? No, of course not. There's times when things are happening. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going on. And I gotta really hunker down and figure out how to fix this. But then unconsciously, a little smile comes to my face. And I realize, like, oh, wait, Wait. We got this. So, what you got to do is you got to build the skill. Build the skill of joy, okay? And skills are practiced. Skills are improved with repetition, right? Over time, you repeat it, you do it over and over, but you start small. You start with small steps. In fact, that's another thing that Carol Dweck in her book Mindset talks about. I wish, now that I think of it, I could just have it to pull up here to show you. We'll have to talk about it at some other time. I have it in my shelf help book case here. Skills are practiced. Skills are practiced over time. Slow, small steps with repetition. And then those same skills create the results over time in small increments. It's like this. If I were to ask you, how many alarms do you have before you wake up? How many alarms do you have set? Do you have 1, 2, 3, 4? None? But you know, it's interesting that your brain always wakes you up just before the alarm goes off. Have you noticed that? And you might get angry about, like, oh my gosh. And then you look at the clock, and it's like maybe 5, 10 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes before you're supposed to wake up, the alarm goes off. You know why that happens? Because the brain does not like that sudden jolt of wake up. So it does it for you. Often I have had early flights for my speaking gigs, and I'm having to travel somewhere early. And I tell my brain, because I 100% implicitly trust it, I tell it the time I want to wake up, and I'm usually up within half an hour, sometimes even an hour before, because it knows it has an alarm. So understand this. Results over time happen slowly, but you've got to start. Small steps, small increment steps. That's the key here, okay? So look, when it comes to happiness, the skill, it has like this matrix of combination of things. Number one, and I'm going to read this off so it's easier for me to recall it for you. Emotional regulation, attention control, meaning making, perspective shifting, and energy management. Those 5 areas, and I would have done now that I think of it, I would have done a PowerPoint, but it's not important. In fact, actually, now that I think of it, you are going to get with this live a download, and this stuff is in the download, so you'll have it. Okay. But just know that when it comes to building the happiness skills, it includes emotional attention, emotional regulation, attention, meaning. How do we create meaning? Super important. I can talk about this meaning making all day. Perspective shifting and energy management. And I actually speak a lot on energy management when I talk about energy leadership, because if you understand how these 5 things are regulated, or happiness, as you build the happiness skill, regulates these 5 things, everything will change. So when I personally work on my happiness, mood changes, mood improves. I think more clearly, more creatively, more holistically. I'm much more apt to have hope for the future versus seeing the negativity all around me. Not my business. I got to focus on what I have to do right now. I got to focus on it. I got to get engaged in it. And again, this is not like I'm ignoring the problems. I'm looking at the problems and going, let me take this problem and put it up on my whiteboard here, my vibe board, and go, let's break this down. Let's look at it. Even the hard things, my friends. I have had to look at some really hard things in my life, even the hard things. And sometimes with the hard things, I'm like, okay, we're not going to fix it right now. We're going to fix it little increments over time. And even that releases the nervous system from this sense of stress and go, okay, cool. Because the brain just wants you to know that you are attending to it. You're not forgetting it. You're not ditching it. Because otherwise it keeps coming up like a bill. Keeps coming up like an unpaid bill. Keeps coming up. And the reason why it keeps coming up is because your nervous system and your brain wants you to address it. Super important. So I become much more resourceful. You can become much more resourceful when you handle challenges, no matter what it is, with this element of curiosity, element of joy and happiness. I'm like, let's figure it out. Even if it's difficult, approach it from that standpoint. Get into the habit of approaching it from a happier standpoint. And listen to me carefully. All happiness is the mindset of there is possibility here. There is another way here. There is a path forward here. Are you with me? I'm looking at the situation from a perspective of hope versus a perspective of being reactionary. I'm being resourceful versus being reactionary. I'll say it again. When I get into that state and I create that habit, I'm like, what's possible here? I create a state of resourcefulness versus a state of being reactionary or reaction. When I'm a reactionary, all of us, when we are reactionary, what's happening is that the nervous system is being impacted by the situation, and then we're reacting to it versus responding to it, versus being resourceful, versus saying, you know what, there's a way through this. You just got laid off. Life is hard. You're lacking in funds. Da da da. I'm like, listen, are you kidding me? There's funds all around me. I just have to figure out how to tap into it. Right? What's my skill? What's my talent? What's the thing that I can do that I can put out there in the world and serve other people? I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, and just this idea came to me. I said, you know what? I feel like our bank accounts are a mirror reflection of our belief system. Our bank accounts are an energetic reflection of our belief system, and is an energetic reflection of how much we're helping or not helping the world. Think about that for a minute. Your bank account is a reflection of how much you're helping or not helping the world. Because I believe, and not only do I believe this, I've seen it over and over again, is that when we struggle with the energy of money, energy management, with the energy of money, typically what it comes down to is that we're not helping, we're not giving, we're not doing as much as we could with our skill and our talent and our abilities. That could be a whole topic for another day. And by the way, if this is interesting to you, put in the comments, yes, talk to me about the mirror energy, the mirror energy. Put down in the chat, mirror energy. I'll come back to this at some point, but this is something to think about. So here's the thing. We are the orchestrator of our experience. Whatever is happening to you is happening to you, is happening for you. You've heard this before, but really we are the orchestrator of it. Okay. And this is what I love about this idea of happiness. I love thinking about happiness like this. I love thinking about happiness from the standpoint of that I can orchestrate whatever reality I want, which also reminds me how people often talk about law of attraction and getting things they want. Yes, it is manifestation, but really it's neurology. If you get your neurology synced up to what you really want and how you want it and the feeling of it and so on, but more importantly, you get into a resourceful state of recognizing what is possible in your life, that is what will make the difference. That's what will make the difference. And you're not just living inside your life. You are literally conducting it. You are where's my little pen here? You're conducting your life. So as a conductor, what does a conductor do? It looks at all the various different players, right? She will look at all the various different players, all the different instruments, all different things. And then we say, what is it we want to create? What is the movement we're trying to create? And what's the interpretation of that movement? Because as you know, that's what conductors do so well. They're creating their interpretation of a movement, for example. That's what we do. So how you react to emails, to phone calls, to bills, to stress, to other people's stressors, to circumstances, especially now this time of year, how you react to people going to the market late at night or in your way at 2 p.m. because everybody decides to shop at the same time because they forgot tomorrow the stores are closed, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, as if this day of the year didn't happen every single year for millennia. However you decide to deal with that, that lets you know that you are either responding or reacting. Right? Earlier today, yesterday, the 23rd, went out to do quick grocery shopping, my usual grocery shopping, and it was a bit of mayhem. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what is happening? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Everybody forgot that this happens every year. And today I was like, I'm not going out there today. I got content to make. I don't got time to be out there in that mess. Also, people rushing around trying to get somewhere, just the stress of it. And everybody's in the stress. A few people were happy, but most people are just stressed. I'm like, oh, who wants to be in that energy? Now, if I'm going to be in that energy, if I have to be in the energy, I'm going to try to bring something else to it. All right. So most people are reacting. And what I'm teaching you is to be not reactive, but responsive. So here's the thing. These means you choose your attention. Wherever your attention goes, you choose it. You choose how you interpret what's happening. You choose. You choose how you interpret your setbacks. You choose. You choose the emotional tone by which you bring to the room. How that energy that you bring to the room. You choose it. Isn't that cool? Your choice. That's why you probably hear people say happiness is a choice. It's your choice. And because you have 40% of the ability to choose it, choose wisely. Blue or red. Blue pill or red pill. Choose wisely. So this doesn't mean that you're going to ignore reality. Remember I said to you earlier, this is not about ignoring reality or sticking your head in the ground. No. This is literally about becoming skillful at navigating, at orchestrating it, at realizing if this is happening, I'm going to become skillful. How do I build a skill? Over time. Slowly but surely. I'm going to give you actually right now 4 practical ways. Right now, 4 practical ways. And if you stay to this, you hung out here with me, thank you. It's going to be worth it. Look at 4 ways. Number 1, train your attention. Train your attention. Write it down somewhere. Train your attention. Because wherever your brain's attention goes, your energy flows. And we need to watch our energy. So how do you do it? At least once a day for 2 minutes. 2 minutes top. Start with 30 seconds. And then progress up to 2 minutes. And what I want you to do is that I want you to intentionally think about at least 3 things that went well. 3 things, and don't just make, the sun came out. No. 3 things that went well. You know what? I went to the store and I found a parking spot. I got to the register and there was no line. And I got to my car and I was able to get out of the parking lot quickly. Whatever. 3 things that went right. Not big old wins, small, ordinary things. Because listen to me carefully, we're doing brain training and the brain knows you really well and it knows you. So we got to start small. Are you with me? We got big dreams. We take small steps. Okay. Simple practice. That's all I'm asking you to do. Simple practice. 1 day, 2 minutes, 3 things. 1 day, or let's say once a day for 2 minutes, 3 things. Are you with me? Say it again. Once a day. Yeah. What? That's right. Once a day. Okay. You get the rest of it. I want you to be intentional. Once a day, 2 minutes, 3 things. Once a day. There it is. Okay. Why this works is because you're training the brain slowly. You're training the brain. We have to make new connections. There's this thing called neurotransmitters. And the neurotransmitters are these little tentacles in the brain that when you're learning something new, it creates new connections. But when you're learning something new and you don't practice it, it dies off, which is why when you're learning a new, say, for example, an instrument or a new skill, people give up quickly because the neurons haven't made there. So we think we can't do it. But over time, yes, you can. So, right? Once a day, 2 minutes, 3 things. Okay. The second thing I'm going to suggest you do is that you physically change your posture. Get up, stretch, shrug your shoulders, breathe. Do some physical change when you're trying to get your brain to shift the way it's thinking. Change physically because your neurology, your nervous system does not listen to your brain, it listens to your body. This is why when people want to get up to speak and speak in public and they get nervous because the body is responding to the nervous system. The body's responding to the thoughts, and your nervous system responds to the body. So then you get nervous. So what you want to do is you want to stand up, you want to roll your shoulders back, you want to take a deep breath, and and if you listen to Amy Cuddy's TED Talk, and she talks about being able to have the stance and physically get into a stance, do what you have to do to change your physicality. Go out, take a walk, lift some weights real quick, do some push-ups off the wall, do whatever you got to do to shift your physiology. It will impact your neurology. Are you with me? So we talked about the brain, talked about the neurology. Third thing is that it's notice what you create, practice meaning making, not positivity. It's going to sound weird because I'm here and talking about signs of happiness. And I'm saying, don't think about positivity. It's about meaning making, which what I mean by this is when you have a challenge in your life and you're dealing with that challenge, what I'm going to recommend you do is to look at the situation and ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? I know you'd be like, oh, but I don't, what I can learn is that it sucks. And I get it. But really ask yourself, take the time, write it down, draw a picture like we had in our little card earlier, draw a picture about the thing, look at it from a different perspective. That's what Picasso did. That's what great artists did. They would put a painting up and then they would move around the room, go, above it, below it, on the side of it, look at it from a different perspective. And all of a sudden it shifts the situation when you change your point of view. So what you want to do is notice the situation and ask yourself the question, what is this teaching me? What is this teaching me? How can I grow? Right? And what can I learn from this? Even better, what can I teach? How can I teach this to other people? How can I teach people how not to do the same mistake? Right? What you're doing then is you're creating meaning, not positivity. In other words, you're looking at the meaning of the thing and you're changing it, what it means. You're reframing it and what it means. Okay. And fourth, and this is so important, now comes the feeling part, is one thing that you can do daily to bring you joy. This brings me joy. It is now 11:30. So I've been on this thing for at least 30 minutes. We've been talking here in this little podcast here. Find joy. Find joy. I don't care what it is for you. Let it be healthy, good for your body, good for your soul, good for other people. Find joy. Because joy can then help you shift, take the newness and the goodness you just created and really bring it into the neurology as a memory. We'll talk about gratitude at some point, but when you bring in some good stuff, joy isn't accidental, it's scheduled. My friends, this is why happiness matters. Ultimately, is why it matters. Okay. It isn't just about feeling good, although feeling is important. It's not just about feeling good. It's about being able to be more creative, more resourceful, have a better mood. Okay. More energy, more adaptable, more creative. This is what being in a happier state does. You can sleep better, you can lead better, you can work better. You have more hope. It puts you into a resourceful state of creativity. It levels you, brings you up, brings your energy up to a place where you can see things from a different perspective, a different point of view. And that's what happiness does. And for me, this is what happiness does. It allows me to be more resourceful. It allows me to be more creative, less reactive. Now, am I like this all the time? Heck no. There's times where I'm like, and I'm going to go, time out. And I have this little physical technique that I do, right? I'm like, hey, snap out of it. In fact, the other day I was driving, and I was having a consistent thought. I was having this consistent thought that was getting in the way of my joy, honestly, because of the situation I was dealing with, that I actually pulled over. And I had a serious conversation with myself. I'm like, hey, snap out of it. What's going on? Hey, I get this situation right now feels dire, feels like, oh my gosh, what's going on? This can't be happening. Stop. We got this. I'm the captain now. I took a deep breath. Just put my shoulders out, right? Wrung my neck a little bit and go, we got this. We know we got this. Yes, it's difficult. I get it, but hang tight. What I need from you, brain, and I gave my brain a command, and that's what I want you to do. Give your brain a command instantly, right now, without a doubt. Here's what I want you to do, brain. I want you to be resourceful. You have incredible insight, knowledge, background, experience to help me with ideas. That's your job. Now go fetch. That's what I did. And I closed out. I pulled out from the side of the road. I got back on the road. I started driving, and all of a sudden, within seconds, friends, I got ideas. Why? And then here's was my response. Oh, there we go, Brett. That's what I'm talking. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you. Now let me pull into this parking lot so I can write down these crazy ideas because I had just a plethora of ideas, friends. You're experiencing one right now. Amazing ideas came through. That's what switching the brain from being reactive to responsive does. It opens you up to the possibility that was not there before. Are you with me? Those ideas literally did not exist before I had that moment. And the minute I shifted from reaction to responsive to allow the brain to open up to hope, positivity, immediately creativity came through and delivered. Come on. This is too good. So, if happiness is if happiness is a skill, here's the real question for you. If happiness is a skill, here's a real question for you. What are you practicing? What are you practicing every day? Right? What are you practicing? Whether you realize it or not, you're practicing a skill. And you're either practicing to be very, very reactive, or you're practicing to be responsive, to reframe, so you can be of higher level resolve of any life challenge. That's what happiness can do for you. This is what I teach. So, because the brain is always learning, because the brain is always learning, the only question is, what are you training it to do? Because the brain is always learning, what are you training it to do? That's my question for you, my friends. And if any of this resonated, you know what to do. Comment below. Share it with somebody who needs this. Save it to your library under happiness skills. And then every time you learn something new about happiness, throw it in that folder so it can remind you of what's possible. Share this with somebody that you know needs it. Because here's the bottom line. Small shifts in being practical and consistent, absolutely and without a doubt, changes everything. It's been a pleasure to be with you today, my friend. It's been a pleasure to guide you through this experience. Follow, comment, and share for more. Until next time.